Hey there, I'm Alan Matthews from Classical Guitar Shed, and in this video we will be talking about the C major scale. And it is one of the most common scales on the guitar. So many pieces are written using these notes, so it's a great workout for you, both your ear and your fingers, and you'll use it in your pieces of music. If you enjoy this, please subscribe to this channel, click the little bell for the notifications, and also see below for a link. You can download a PDF with all of the scales, all of the open position scales listed out for you in tab and in notation, so you can put them in your practice. Wonderful. So here is the C major scale. And then back down. Classic do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And so to look at this notation here, you have the tab if you would like to use the tab. You have the grid if you can work with the grid. The grid, you start with the lowest sounding note and move up through the strings, one note at a time, and then back down. Now with this musical notation, you can see there are numbers in circles, and these are the string numbers, numbered 1 to 5 or to 6. And so number 5, this first note right here, is a 5 with a circle around it. That means 5th string. And then that note, which happens to be C. The other thing that you can see are the fingerings beside the note head. So even if you're using the tab, you can still look at the finger, the left-hand finger that you use for the particular scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Index finger is 1. The little pinky is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so this first note is C. It is the third finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret. And then you can go up. Now with your right hand, you can just use your thumb. Whenever you're first learning a scale, it's best not to try to put any kind of fancy right hand fingering in there, and just use one finger, use whatever you use for the right hand. Don't worry about it. So then starting at the bottom here, we have the C, and then we go up to the 4th string, the open string. You can see the 0 beside it, and then 2, 3. Now you can't necessarily always look at the finger number on the musical staff and see what fret it is, but in this case it happens to work with this particular scale. So then going up and then go down. Now when you're playing this scale, couple of things, couple of pointers in your hands. Keep a nice C shape in your left hand so that you don't have to go around and do a lot of wrist motions. If you'll notice when I'm playing this, my hand doesn't move all that much. Ideally, your fingers don't fly up in the air so much, and something that we're listening for is to connect each note to the next. This gets a little bit more advanced, so just learn the scale first and let it sound whatever it sounds like. But as soon as you can, we want to listen to two things. One, we want to listen to the connection of the notes so that the first note connects but does not overring, or else it's going to sound really bad. But it doesn't overring, but it connects. They butt up right next to each other. And that's easier when we're going from one string to the next, but it's harder once you go from, for instance, the second note to the third note, because it's going to sound like a gap in between. And that's okay at first. Just be aware of it and know that eventually you want to close that gap as much as possible. There will always be a gap. If you put it under the microscope, the question is, how big is that gap? And we want to make it as small as possible. And the next thing that I mentioned is the rhythm. We want to play scales in a really even tempo, steady beat. So instead of an erratic rhythm, just as soon as you can get to it, instead keep it steady. And ideally, you'd use a metronome for this, so that it's absolutely steady as a rock. And that way, you're training more than one skill at a time. One, you're training your internal rhythm, so that when you play pieces, then you'll just play them better, and they'll sound better. You'll learn them better and make fewer mistakes. And also, you'll get more of the good out of the scale, which is synchronizing the hands, playing in rhythm, being intentional with your fingers and having your finger go down specifically when you want it to. Or on the way back down, to lift whenever exactly when you want it to. So there's a lot that scales give us, especially on the classical guitar. There's all these physical skills, but also you'll find this scale in music. And so whenever you find this scale in a piece of music, it'll make it easier to learn those notes because you'll know the group of notes. It won't be strange to you. Now, once you feel comfortable with the left hand, you've memorized this pattern, you've memorized this scale, which you should. You don't want to just always have to look at the piece of music or look at the page for your scale. Once you feel confident that you know it with your left hand, you can start putting in a more intentional right hand. And that's beyond the scope of this video, but if you click the link down below, then you'll find links to videos and tutorials on the right hand scale technique. So, hope you've enjoyed this. Please subscribe to this channel and also grab the scale packet. It's several pages of scales you can play on your guitar, and I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.